Gavin. I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, this is a great time to get together and talk, and everybody's, inside because of the pandemic. And we wanted to update our readers on some of the great things some of our leaders and people that been covered in the past on our magazine, just to talk about what you're doing, what's going on. And I got this great press release about you announcing a new project. So tell us about the project, tell us about your business, and then we'll jump right in.
Yeah. So, my day job is coaching queer entrepreneurs through scaling and imposter syndrome. But I also happen to be an anthropologist and author. And my first book was called Stories of Elders. I drove 12,000 miles across America to talk to the oldest living citizens about this massive paradigm shift that happened due to high tech. And so today, you and I are experiencing an enormous paradigm shift that's happening worldwide. We're all just holding on for dear life, basically, in some cases, literally. And that is, of course, COVID-19. And so I have started another project called Stories of COVID.
Wow.
So it's still in the same series, Stories of Elders, Stories of COVID. And I'm interviewing people worldwide to document the impact of the pandemic in real time for future generations. So massive undertaking for sure, but really, really beautiful conversations. And it's been like a lifeline, not just for me, but for the participants too, when they say they got to process and talk about this, and then listening to the podcast, which is how the interviews are being published right now.
That was my next
because
question.
It's too early.
Yeah, the logistics on taking on such an audacious and amazing project. I mean, to try to reach out and create virtual community, which is really what's important now. Our relationships now with our first degree, links and beyond have become our real life community in this time. So how have you been able to get that accomplished from home?
So here we are on Zoom, and we're so used to it. Just all of a sudden, overnight almost, virtual meetings became the norm, and people have really warmed to that. And so even some of the elders I interviewed are participating in this book. I love having kind of overlap.
Yes.
So, like big secret, I was actually working on the follow-up to Stories of the Elders called Stories of Tech, and that was interviewing Gen Z, the first all-tech generation. It's obviously that's on hold right now. But so I have some of those younger people interviewing for Stories of COVID, and I have some of the older people from Stories of Elders interviewing for Stories of COVID. And then for those two books too, they were related because sometimes I was interviewing grandchildren of the elders. And so it's all kind of wrapped together. But this virtual thing now is very normal for everyone else. So it seems like people are pretty comfortable getting on. It's been a lot more about the hustle of networking, which, as a businesswoman, I'm used to.
Yes.
But it's so different to, go to virtual networking events. And I'm not talking about my coaching, which has its ramifications, but this feels so much more present and important that I'm almost always saying, you said that you are in South Korea. I'm doing a book about COVID, please interview. And I'm hustling to ask people for their friends and family and connections worldwide in order to complete this in a way that honors the very real worldwide experience that we're having.
And that's really important, that authenticity, which I've always admired about you ever since I heard about you, was that very thing, the courage to stand up, to reach out, to be a leader, to be someone that people could look to as an example, to have moved across, the country, and to be brave and I've always loved that about you. And at the end of our conversation, I'm going to share the screen on some of the stuff we've had about you. But I think that's the point is taking what you love. Obviously, you're a storyteller. Obviously, you love connecting with people. And you're doing what you have to do with what you have to be able to create this archive. Is it going to be a book, or how are we?
Yeah.
How would people engage, or let they have a story, or otherwise how do we get engaged? That's the real question.
Yeah. There's so many different avenues, actually. I've tried to open this up to be as egalitarian and accessible as possible. So if you want to share your story, this is not, you don't have to be an expert in anything. You're experiencing this, thus your story is relevant. So you can go to the website, which I know, Robin, you'll share. It's storiesofcovid.co for those who are like eager right now. But you can go to the website and immediately sign up for an interview. You can go to that same website and subscribe to the podcast. If you're sick of the news, but you don't want to be out of touch, this is a beautiful way to hear what's happening, but in the real human factor rather than in the like expletive
It's
headline
filtered too.
style.
That the news is
Yeah.
filtered. So this is real.
Yeah, this is the real. I mean, the stories I'm hearing, there's this woman I just interviewed in Washington, D.C., and she was talking about her morning walk. And her and her husband are walking down the street, and there's this big guy running in the middle of the street for his morning jog. And like, clearly this is his jam. He's just like hustling down the street. And as they get close to each other, they're still at a distance, so that wasn't a problem. But he gets close to them, and all of a sudden he yells at them, "All right, family, we got this family," and just like keeps on running, just like the spreading of positivity. That's not going to be in the news, but that's a very real part of this pandemic. And it's a beautiful
Absolutely.
part that shouldn't be forgotten, right?
Yeah.
And the final way that people can engage is I've started a line of custom designs. So this is totally proprietary designs of t-shirts and stickers and mugs that honor the fact that our frontline workers are absolutely taking the heat for us. And so there's a mug with a mask on it that says "Not all heroes wear capes." And there's a t-shirt that says "I helped flatten the curve 2020." And so it's honoring the fact that like we're sitting at home and we feel very anticlimactic, but it's still doing something really important. And proceeds go to the WHO. So the World Health Organization has a solidarity fund that is getting PPE to frontline workers worldwide.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things that I've learned through this process is really understanding who's essential and in some cases who feels like they're expendable, and that needs to change. And, yelling at the TV won't help, right? We're just going to have
No.
to, keep a positive thought in our hearts and minds and moving forward productively, helping where we can.
Mm-hmm.
And then absolutely, we have to vote. We have to make our voices known at every level in government so that we can,
Yeah.
forego these kinds of challenges in the future as best as possible, or avoid, the disasters. So
Right. Yeah. Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. And when it comes to you as a businesswoman, so
Mhm.
tell me about business now in the land of COVID. How what has happened to you because of this?
Well, I had several keynotes lined up for this next quarter, and of course, those are all canceled. And also, COVID-19 started right in the middle of National Women's Month, which felt, so karmic in a weird way.
Yeah.
So all of those events got canceled. And it's just a real shame because as you said, I love being in front of people and supporting them and rallying people who have, they're harboring this little dream and they're not sure what to do next. And if I could just get in front of them and get them just excited and empowered, that's everything. And so all those events being canceled definitely, of course there's a financial ramification to that, but even more like, just I miss meeting people and helping people. I still have clients virtually, and so that's really good. Like that hasn't fallen off, and I can still reach out to entrepreneurs who are struggling to pivot. That's I used to work a lot on scaling, and now we're working a lot on pivoting.
Wow, yeah.
And so that's the landscape I'm seeing. Again, worldwide, my clients are spread all over the world, and it's turned into kind of just let's pivot, but make sure that we're not losing sight of the ultimate dream, because things are going to release eventually,
Mhm.
and so we can't be too far off the path.
That's right. And I think that's important that you're holding a space for people to consider how to do things differently. And then this idea of creating something new. I mean, have you heard from people that are looking at new opportunities because of how the world's changed? What's that like?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually co-host another podcast.
Oh, wow.
uh, and my co-host is the CTO of American Multisport. And so that's, those are very outdoor, kind of like, what do they call them? The tough, it's not Tough Man. Oh,
Tough
I'm
Mudder, I
obviously,
don't know.
yeah, that type of event. And so of course all of those are canceled. And so
Oh,
they've
yeah.
pivoted completely to use their internal structure in order to supply hand sanitizer to those who need it.
Wow.
So full pivot, but at the same time, people who tend to be very sports oriented already understand cleanliness and health. They're extremely health minded.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I know I'm making a bit of a stereotype, but typically people who are working out a lot and are, trying to make gains, they're very, very health minded. They're looking at what's going into their bodies. And so getting sanitizer to those that need it. I mean, he's done a total pivot, but is also building new connections because of it. And so that's what I'm seeing a lot of, is that, we're making these pivots and finding ways to make money and, keep life going despite all of it, and in really beautiful, creative ways.
Mm-hmm. And to stay connected. I mean,
Mhm.
I've heard from high school friends that I haven't
Yeah.
talked to in many, many, many years. You get this random text that says, "Is this you?" And my number hasn't changed in many, many years. And I'm like, wow, and then can we talk? And it's phenomenal that I haven't talked to
Yeah.
some people probably 25, 30 years, I just really haven't. And it's quite an amazing experience to be isolated, but yet not.
That's what I've been hearing. And like, we've started kind of like a family dinner night where the friend family, our chosen family, we have dinner every other Saturday evening, and just to, like see each other and spend time with each other. And, my roommate in California was doing like wine nights with her friends. And so I've heard a lot of like creativity and just gathering spaces. And the fact that, I interviewed a woman yesterday who typically lives in Ecuador, and she's back in the United States. She said, yeah, like I've been able to see people that I don't usually see or haven't communicated with in so long, because typically the events are in a country that I'm not in, so I can't attend, but now they're all virtual. So I can actually like go to the events and see people. So it's interesting, like you're saying, there's kind of like an additional connection
Right.
happening. Um, it's beautiful in a way.
Yeah, it's heartwarming because I mean, people have just trashed the virtual world for so long, and the virtual world is now our lifeline to
Yeah.
working, to
Mhm.
connecting. We've had birthday parties, milestone birthday parties on
Oh,
Zoom, And last
yeah.
night I saw a nephew that I haven't seen yet
Oh,
on Zoom, and it was amazing. I mean, I've only ever seen him in pictures, and to be able to actually see him and wave, and we played Blues Clues, and he started to dance.
oh,
He was like, and it was like, wow, and he really gets it. He kept trying to touch the screen. So
oh,
there are those moments, those completely human moments that are still happening, and we have to give ourselves credit for that. But also just to be in a space where you can receive, you know, ideas. This
yeah,
pivot is big. There are a million, and I think there are infinitely many possibilities, even in bad times, to create something good. And I applaud you for doing that as an anthropologist and a business owner, a leader, and of course a BEQ Pride leader. We're really proud of you. We've not expected anything less from you and the folks that were in the group with you. Let me share my screen just for a second so that
yeah.
our folks can see some of the, oh yeah, this will be good. Share. Okay, so there you are. Can you see it yet?
Yes.
Right on page
Back
37.
when I had good hair.
Yeah, me too. I could show you some hair, girl. But in this magazine, let's see, the cover is, okay, it's on the winter magazine.
Mhm.
And then on our website, of course, the whole cohort, everybody's
Yeah.
here, starts at the top. And here we are, Leaders Under 40, class of
Mhm.
2020. And
Amazing cohort. Everyone is so just, as you said, service minded and wanting
yes.
to connect. It's been so amazing to get to know everyone.
Yeah, I think that's the amazing thing is being able to connect people that know each other, maybe loosely, maybe heard of each other, but not necessarily. And have you been able to contact some or get engaged with some folks?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
we have. Yeah, of course, there were some plans in the works that are now on pause as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, everyone is so wonderful, and it's such a great community, and I'm excited to see, once things release a little bit, what we might be able to do for our community.
And that brings me to one more question. And your business is certified as
Mhm.
LGBT owned through the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how are you connecting with your local chamber or that community? How is that going?
Yeah, so I'm also, a member of the Long Beach
Long Beach.
LGBT Chamber of Commerce, and they're still holding virtual events and trainings. And there's definitely been trainings that are specific around, getting a PPP or EIDL loan.
Mhm.
But then there's also just been their general kind of events like marketing online and Facebook ads and how to network. And so there's like a sense of we're trying to have our normal experiences, even though
Right,
they're online.
right,
And that's
right.
been good. Yeah. So I appreciate that about our chambers, that everyone's saying, okay, like this is happening, but we're not going to allow it to just flat out cancel all possibilities. We're still going to host events. We're still going to have some programming. And that's
That's good.
nice.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate that too because it keeps me connected. The chamber that um, I'm a part of is in New York City, and that was pretty cool. They had a virtual M3 members monthly mixer, last
Oh,
night, and that was
yeah.
nice. Everybody brings your own BYOB, right? You just
Yeah.
and then have the meeting. So all in all, it's just been an expansive
Mhm.
process. I think the COVID
Mhm.
with all of the horror and the thoughts of what's possibly going on, we can find a
Mhm.
grain of something good to hold on to and to move
Mhm.
forward with. And I think your courage to document the stories of people around the world, I guess that's the anthropologist in you,
Yeah.
preserving authentic stories for the future, is quite amazing. And I'm happy to share this information with our readers and any followers we have. So if you could tell us one more time where our listeners and readers could um, get to the merch as well as the podcast. And
Mhm.
I'll be sharing that as well as information about you and what you did pre-COVID.
And still technically do, although I speak less about coaching right now, more about stories of COVID. And so if you're interested in signing up for an interview, in subscribing to the podcast, checking out the products that support frontline workers, or if you simply just want to sign up for the newsletter so that you hear when the book does come out, you can go to storiesofcovid.co.
Thank you, Veronica. This has just been amazing. I hope we can check in a few weeks, maybe a month, maybe when you're
Yeah.
back on the West Coast. That would be
Yeah.
nice. And if there's anything that our audience or magazine can do to support you in your efforts to reach out to the community, please let me know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.